Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the next session of Crusader Kings 2! Now, you've probably noticed that there's been a little bit of a delay from last time. A couple days or so, but as always, even just a couple of days feels like weeks and weeks of absence for me. And that's because I feel the game, having ran for almost 30 years now, things in the game have taken such shape that there are just so many things to pay attention to. There are just so many events and factors that have started to take shape. And so I feel now is a good opportunity to pause for a brief while and just take stock of all the things that have happened and all the things that are happening now. We started out on our journey as Haraldr, the Great Bear of Skåne, belonging to House of Ystad, who has ruled the lands for a good 30 years now, starting off from when he was a young man at age 17. He is now 46. He's no spring chicken anymore. He's nearing the end of his life, and it becomes all the more relevant for him to start contemplating his legacy, which is part of the reason why we did what we did last time, which is we took an army down to the lands of Bohemia, where there was a succession crisis going on, where one noble lord revolted against his liege to put another claimant on the throne, whom I believe was a family member or some sorts. So we interfered in the middle of all that crisis. We put down the incumbent ruler and we beat down the rebels until our grandson Björn became the ruler of Bohemia. Now originally we pushed the claim for his father, who's another one of the Premyslit family members who held the claim to the lands. I think he was even first in line or something. And then through his matrilineal marriage to our wife, he had a son who then ended up inheriting the realm after he died, and that is why these lands are now ruled by our family. And that's just one of the things, one of the additional features, so to speak, that this game has, that it's not necessarily about expansion and world domination for yourself. It's about progressing your family line, even characters you may not be in personal control of, because when you're playing as a dynasty, it goes beyond just your own personal character and your own personal ambition. And this is a perfect example of one of the things you can fight for, of how to constantly find things to do within the 700-year period that we've got to play with. And before starting the game proper today, I figured would take some time to explore all the various storylines and story arcs that have developed over the course of the gameplay thus far. So I will warn you in advance that depending on for how long I go on, this may just end up being a session consisting solely of me talking. I want to take some time and enjoy the story that's emerged. If it goes on for... I've put the timer to about 1 hour today, so like if it goes on for, well, up to 30 minutes or however it may be, I'll just cut the session short there and just go straight to gameplay next time. But if I manage to keep it down to roughly 20 minutes or so, I can release the pause button and at least play for a year. We'll see what happens, but let's just get straight to it. So like I said, we started out as Harald the Great Bear. He's been the founding father of the dynasty. He's been the main character of the story so far. Everything we've done, everything we've experienced has been seen through his point of view. Right from the beginning, he was in control of Skåne, and you'll remember he lost his current wife, Feodora, to camp fever just last year, which was really sad. And yet at the same time, I don't believe they were never that close to each other, sadly. I was kind of hoping her attractiveness and her ambitious nature would convince him into dropping his content trait, but I guess Harald was so busy going out on his raids and his wars that he never really got a chance to properly spend time with her, so they didn't really bond as much as I hoped they would. Even more so, he bonded with his first wife, Beata, who died of dysentery about 9 years ago now. We always suspected her of being dishonest, of cheating with us due to her lustful nature, due to her way to twist the truth and smooth talk us all the time. We never ended up finding any evidence of unfaithfulness, of adultery on her part. So as far as Harald is concerned, and as far as the historical chronicles are concerned, all our children are the true-born children of Harald and Beata. And as more and more of our children have come of age, have become adults, they've started slowly but surely to make up their own respective story arcs. And I figured would take some time to go over each individual story arc one at a time. So we've got our first story arc with our daughter Hilde, whom we fought for in the last session, who was married to King Zebor, the usurper of Bohemia, the guy whose claim we pressed and seized Bohemia for before he eventually passed, thus transferring the realm in the care of Björn of Böhmen, or Björn of Bohemia. But I kind of like Björn of Böhmen. He has a nice ring to it, like, at least for me. He's merely 1 year old. I guess he'll turn 2 later this year, with his mother as the regent. She was previously the spy master of his, if I'm not mistaken. And it's really funny because we always thought that Hilde here was gonna be a warrior girl, because we schooled her. We gave her the focus struggle, I believe, hoping she'd turn out into a warrior like us, but it turned out she was more suited for an education in diplomacy. And indeed, she came out as a grey eminence, as the highest stage of diplomatic education, and she's got traits suitable for that particular line of work. She's groomed, she always makes sure to dress well, to look pretty, and just present herself in a presentable fashion. She's shrewd and deceitful, which means she has a talent for both straightforward diplomacy as well as some underhanded tactics, and she's humble too. Like, she doesn't brag about herself often, she doesn't want great things for herself, but she's working for the betterment of her family, which is an important trait now, because she is the one that's keeping this little guy in power. She has found herself in a foreign court, surrounded by foreign vassals and foreign courtiers, speaking a different language, worshipping different gods, being of different cultures altogether. Now, we are allied with Bohemia. Harald has personally guaranteed the I was gonna say the independence of Bohemia, but rather the rule of Björn. We've already put them down once, so I don't believe they're gonna want to rise up against us anytime in the future. But clearly, from their point of view, we're a bunch of foreign invaders. We're foreigners from some distant lands who just barged into their lands, put ourselves on top, and now we expect them to submit to us, which I can imagine won't be taken very lightly over there. So we need to pay attention and see whenever they require our assistance. But above all, it falls to Hilde here to hold the fort in the council as regent until Björn here grows of age, which is gonna be almost 15 years from now. So she's got a struggle ahead of her. That in itself represents a very interesting storyline, something you could write like a novel or a chapter about. Now, for the sake of, or rather, for practical purposes, we can't delve into every single storyline there is. All we can do is stick to the character we're playing as and just play out the story through his eyes. But still, I do enjoy at least taking an occasional look at other characters just to see what they're up to, just to see what their situation is, and what kind of storyline goes on from their point of view, because you never know. Ravn may die, and we may end up playing as some of our other sons. And if that happens, we'll want to have an idea of what they've been doing up until that point to get a picture of who they are, what they want, and what they've been working for. So, continuing on with the next storyline is that of our heir, and most likely the next character we'll be playing as after Harald passes. It's his oldest son and heir, Ravn, who has developed into pretty much a spitting image of his father. Like his father in the beginning, he's got the skilled tactician, martial education, which is the third step out of 4. He fought alongside Harald in the war in Bohemia, and as such, he's become scarred and has been trained to be a Lightfoot leader. He's a bit of a gambler. We're not sure where he picked up that habit, but it's a habit he's got. But in terms of character, he's pretty damn honorable. He's brave. He's charitable and kind, just as his father, and he's learned to become hard-working, a diligent man, working tirelessly to better himself and reach his goals. And for whatever reason, he gained the chaste trait too, which I'm not quite sure where he got that from. But maybe he's not chaste, in a religious sense. Like, he can still produce children and all of that, but maybe he's chaste in the sense that I'm gonna remain loyal to my wife. I'm not gonna go out and sleep around and just sleep with every woman I come across. I'm married to Svanhild, daughter of the late Björn Järnsida. I'm going to stick to my wife and honor my family. That's how I'm interpreting the chaste trait he's got. And indeed, he's been married to her not that long, I don't think. And they've already had 3, well, I said beautiful children. You've got 2 average children, and then you've got little ugly guy over here. Bless his heart. So yeah, they represent one storyline. What is Ravn gonna get up to in the shadow of his own father? And what's his own reign gonna be like? Is he gonna rule like his father? Is he gonna be more ambitious than him? Is he gonna take a different path from his father in any way? hopefully we'll find out. And then we got another storyline we touched upon last time, which is that of his third child, his daughter Hafrid. Hafrid, who was betrothed to the family of Harald Hårfager here in Viken. She was betrothed to one of this guy's son, I think it's this guy, and then he declared war on the local rulers of this place, who then responded by launching a counterattack into his capital, wherein he captured all the female family members, including our daughter, who was then forced into becoming his concubine. She still remains his concubine because even though Harald Hårfager won the war, he got out of jail because he agreed to surrender and be under him, so our daughter's still his concubine. And also his seeress and his commander, and a fellow member of the Wolf Warriors. That's another thing I forgot to address. Ravna joined the Wolf Warriors at our behest, and we'll see what he gets up to there. And we'll see what she gets up to there, because she's not really a warrior kind of type. Like, she's brave in battle, but she's rather shy in combat. She's kind, she's patient, so she's probably waiting for the right moment to strike against her captor. But funnily enough, she was never that attracted to men to begin with. She's homosexual. If she got to choose her lot in life, she'd sleep around with other women. But clearly that was frowned upon in these times, so it's not a trait she's been very public with, so to speak. So anyways, she's been taken prisoner by him. She's been held by him for a number of years now, and shamefully enough for us, she's been forced to give birth to his children. She's got a daughter and a son with him, and a third child on the way, and it just makes Harald's blood boil just thinking about it. But we are arranging, or we tried to arrange for her to be rescued, so we bribed this other noble woman to try and bring her out, but she got discovered and imprisoned, then exiled back, so now we gotta wait another 3 years before we can try again, which really sucks, but we still love our daughter, and we're not gonna give up on her. Which actually brings us to our fourth child and second son, Hallgrim here. Hallgrim Haraldsson, trained in the art of intrigue, who managed to score the highest points. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I just had to go sort something out. So yeah, we came to our second son, Hallgrim here, who, apart from being a sneaky intrigue kind of feller, is also the heir to the chiefdom of Rügen here, which we conquered as part of a mission from the Wolf Warriors. So he's the only son that's gonna be inheriting a land and be on the same terms as Ravn here. And seeing as we're elective Gavelkind, like if we'd not been elective, Ravn's sons, all three of them, would come before Hallgrim in the inheritance. But because we're elective, he could still have a slim chance of being elected the next ruler, provided several factors go in his way. Like, so long as it's just us, let's go to the laws here. Right now, the only one that can vote for the next ruler is us, because we technically don't have any vassals. If we were to become the High Chief, the Duke, like we wanted to become, we'd have to appoint vassals, and the vassals would be able to vote, and that way he could use some of his intrigue to twist those vassals' arms and get him elected. So I think Hallgrim is working with us because it would benefit him if we expanded, because he could twist and turn his way around to being the ruler. He could probably still do that even though we were to die and he was to be the ruler, but it would be a lot more... It would be a lot more difficult. It would require much more direct confrontation, and in that sense, Ravn is stronger because he's the warrior type. He works behind the scenes. Hallgrim works behind the scenes and uses underhanded tactics. That's his strength, and because that is his strength, Harald has appointed Hallgrim as the one responsible for orchestrating the release of his sister. So he's been sent to Norway now to create a spy network and to find more and hopefully better ways of springing her out when this debuff is removed. So that's an additional storyline to explore. You got the main heir, a good honorable guy, strong in the field of battle, leading the realm honorably, versus this more backstabbing kind of dude who's greedy for wealth and power for himself, who would most likely lead the realm into a very different direction were he to rule. And these four people, I would say, are pretty much the main storylines here. And then you've got the younger children who are kind of waiting in the wings, I'd say, but they'd still make their lives could still make for some interesting stories either way. So let's take a look at Holmgir here. He too was educated in diplomacy like his older sister Hilde, but he didn't turn out quite as well. Still, he's not half bad at diplomacy and stewardship, and for that reason we've appointed him as our steward. And he's shrewd as well, and he's patient, but he's clearly a guy with a more ambitious nature. Like, he's not allowing himself to be stopped by the fact that he's only the third son and thus very unlikely to inherit anything. He's still proving his worth and trying to make his father proud, as you probably noticed in the last time when he commissioned the building of a statue. Remember, he suggested to Harald, "I'll build a great monument," and it turned out to be a statue of Harald himself, which Harald was real pleased about. It may have been a small gesture, but it still speaks volumes of the ambitions of this man. Maybe he could outmaneuver both of his brothers and find a way to rise to power himself. It's very unlikely, I believe, but like from a roleplay perspective, from a storytelling perspective, you could come up with a lot of ideas for this guy. And that's just really interesting to contemplate. Then you've got the youngest son, honestly, probably the least talented of the lot. You've got Heming. Warrior education, but he hasn't turned out great. He's a bit dull, a bit slow, you'd say. I wouldn't say he's dumb or that he's stupid, that he's lacking intelligence in any way, but, you know, he isn't particularly gifted, he doesn't get things straight away, and like, he isn't the most tactical of feller. He's a bit brawny, a bit brutish, but that's about it. And he has literally no sense of justice. He just does whatever he believes is right without really considering the overall justice in it. He does live a temperate lifestyle, though. He doesn't crave luxury or great status or anything. He does realize he's further down the the inheritance, so he's probably settled with the fact that he ain't going to inherit much. Like right now, his main goal is probably just to survive because he got camp fever. We had this plague going on our lands last time too, while Harald was down here waging a war. It was that plague that killed our wife, that killed Sigurd's eldest son, and which has now infected him. He's been given successful treatment though, so we're hoping he's going to survive. He's probably going to survive, but, well, until the disease has gone away, we're not going to really assume anything. And then last, but hopefully not least, the youngest of Harald's 7 children is our daughter yet to come of age, Revna, who's got an education in diplomacy going on, but she seems like she's going to excel in intrigue, because she's wroth and deceitful. We'll get back to her when she's an adult and see how she develops, but she's got a bright future ahead of her in the sense that she's getting married to a king. We married her off to this this courtier who found himself over here for whatever reason, because his brother was the one who ruled the realm, but he got murdered on the orders of some chief or whatever, and that prompted him to come back to take power, and that's what he's done right now. So she's going to be a queen, and their children are going to inherit the realm if everything goes as planned. So yeah, we're absolutely gonna keep our fingers crossed for her. Another interesting thing you'll notice is that the realm has changed names from Knud to Kiev, and that is because I don't know how it happened, but he became Russian. He was born to a Norse father, born to a Norse mother, his brother was Norse, and yet he's been raised to embrace the Russian culture. I'm guessing he's had a Russian guardian who has slowly but surely convinced him to embrace the Russian culture and feel more connected to the local Russian population than his ancestral Norse people. So he is a Russian, has renamed his kingdom to Kiev, and he's not even worshipping the right gods. He's worshipping the Baltic Remover gods. If we take a look at the religion tab over here, the Remover religion originates from the Baltics. Everybody over here are Slavs. The Poles, the Bohemians, the Russians, they all worship the Slavic gods. But no, he worships the Remover gods. So does that mean our children are going to be Russian removers too? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. So yeah. I've given you at least 8 different story arcs that you could develop on your own. Like, we're not going to be able to follow all of these in close detail ourselves, but it's just intriguing to reflect on and imagine how many different kinds of stories that can emerge in just one generation. We've only gone on for 29 years. We could sit here going on for at least 700 years. We could have generations and generations and generations worth of fascinating characters to make all these fascinating stories about. This is what makes CK2, Crusader Kings 2, such a great game, such a deep, immersive game that you could keep playing and playing and playing to your heart's content. And even if we're not gonna release the pause button today, see, we've gone on for half an hour now. We wouldn't be able to play much even if we did. But a few things we are going to do is we're going to allow Harald to get remarried. Yep, he's had 2 wives already, but I think he's gonna want to have a third. both for the sake of companionship, but hey, who knows? Maybe for the sake of romance as well. And I've got just the candidate for him. Remember his marshal, Gunhild, whom he tried to make friends with and succeeded. She now loves him, both for being fellow brothers and sisters in the Wolf Warriors, but because they've grown close to each other. You know, the way they've hanged out with each other, the way they've waged wars together and just been acquaintanced with each other for so long. She's got camp fever now, but what the hell. It's only a mild illness. She's got successful treatment, so why the fuck not? Let them get married. I don't even care I'm losing prestige. We've got plenty of prestige to go around. So, that's been arranged. Yes, we gained possession of this here castle, Rugard, after the previous vassal died of gout, and I was gonna give it to one of my courtiers, one of my fellow council members, but they all seem to have either died or disappeared, so we're gonna make it easy on ourselves and just create a new vassal for this place. Haukur. Okay, he's got a lisp. He's an ambitious feller, which isn't great, but yeah, he's a good all-arounder. Good all-arounder. I could have given it to one of my sons, but I decided against it in the end because Hallgrim here is going to inherit the land, and when he becomes chief of Rügen, whichever son I give the castle to is gonna immediately be a servant of him, and I'm not sure if I want that. I want these two guys to have the opportunity to expand abroad if they can do that. So yeah, we're just gonna generate our own vassal here, who will come under the rulership of Hallgrim when the time finally comes. And then we received some news from, or rather, I should say news. The next story arc, so to speak, is the story arc of Haraldr Knud here. Because Haraldr Knud has had nothing but trouble going on for the entirety of his reign. He's constantly been doubted, disapproved of, and actively fought against by all of his vassals. He led a campaign down here in Sorbia that was a complete failure, but Swithjord are happy because at least he weakened them enough that they could take the lands now. So it belongs to them now. King Örvar of Swithjord is very happy about that. And really, the factions of the realm were coming and may still be coming to a point where he was about to get deposed. And so in order to counter that, he waged war on his brother Tulir here, who was the ruler of Mecklenburg. He waged war, claimed his title, but because Halland here is not legally part of Mecklenburg, Tulir still got to keep it, and thus he still remains a candidate for King of Sjaelland. And the vassals have added further insult to injury by voting for Tulir's son Gorm as the next ruler, as opposed to Haraldr Knud's own son Sigurd. Because you'll remember Vagn died of camp fever. Sigurd has still got camp fever, but he's the second son, and thus he's next in line to inherit. And the realm's all split now as to who's gonna inherit it. 4 of the vassals wants Tulir's son to inherit, 3 of the vassals wants Haraldr Knud's son to inherit, and 1 vassal, the guy in Bornholm here, is bold enough to actually directly vote for Tulir to inherit the realm. So, yeah, and this is something... This was something I wanted to reflect a bit on before making a decision, because we were waging our war down here when we heard about this, and that wasn't the time to make a decision, but I've been mulling it over, I've been thinking about it, and I've reached a decision as to what Harald's gonna do. And as I outlined last time, Harald is no big fan of King Hordknut. He understands exactly why the vassals despise him. I mean, if you look at his character, he may be a hard-working, humble man, but he is wroth, he is a coward, he is paranoid. He was an unworthy priest during the rule of his father, and he's just never had that same kind of good character as the legendary Sigurd Snake in the Eye. So he hasn't been a competent ruler. He hasn't at all brought the same kind of prosperity to the realm that his father did. So Harald ain't any more pleased with him than the vassals are. Yet at the same time, he doesn't have the highest opinion of the vassals either. Harald is a content man. He believes in the principle of serving for the betterment of the realm as a whole, and he looks with a skeptical eye on all of these other guys, because he believes they're not in it for the best interests of the realm, they're in it for themselves. So, while he's not a direct supporter of Hordknut, he still finds himself passively supporting Hordknut over the others, because for one thing, he himself has nothing to gain on Hordknut being overthrown, and secondly, he sees no logical reason to fight for the betterment of individual nobles over fighting for the betterment of the realm as a whole. He did respect Sigurd. Everybody respected Sigurd, and as much as he is not a competent guy to rule, he is the eldest son, so legally and as per the tradition of the time, Hordknut is still the rightful ruler. So we're not going to actively support him, but we're not going to work to overthrow him either, especially not since we neither have nothing to gain nor even seek something to gain, because we're content. We're content with things the way they are, and we'd prefer them not to change. And as such, we are going to tip the scales and vote for Hordknut's son Sigurd as the next ruler of the realm. And that tips him over, even though the vote is 4-4. I think because Hordknut himself is voting, his votes count as 2 votes or something. And that's gonna make him like us even more. He's been trying numerous times to appoint us into his council as the steward, and we keep rejecting him all the time because being sat on his council prevents us from taking command with our own troops down here. But I also believe it's because Hordknut realizes what an asset we are. He may not have the best opinion of us, but no doubt he's seen our military prowess, and he believes if he can recruit us into his cause, he could use our talents in the arts of warfare to keep himself in power. Obviously, Harald realizes this, and as such, he isn't expressing much enthusiasm in helping Hordknut out. But he remains a loyal vassal, and that's just gonna be good enough for now. While Harald never did grasp the art of politics, he has become more deceitful in his later days. He's become... Well, he's realized what a dirty business politics is, and how much progress you can make by pretty much straight up lying to people. And he's developed a talent for it, especially learning the intrigue and intricacies of saving daughters from captivity. Oh, and he's got stressed and depressed now because of our provocations? Yeah, look! He absolutely hates our guts, but with his frail-built body and his shy nature, he's smart enough not to challenge us outright to a duel, and he'd be foolish to. He's got a personal combat skill of 4 to our 101. Like, we'd beat the crap out of him easily, and it's exactly what we want to do. We want to provoke him into fighting us. So yeah. How long have I been going on for? Oh shit, I've gone on for a full 40 minutes now or something. And wow. There you go. There you can see clearly for yourself the depth of this game, that you can spend an hour pretty much just going through all the various story arcs and little mini-stories that the game throws at you. I realize not everybody's into this slower pace of gaming, but for me, this is what makes Crusader Kings 2 the masterpiece that it is. Not just because it enables you to conquer lands, but because there's just a plethora of material for short stories or epic novels or just whatever you want to create. And I've always enjoyed making little stories out of my gameplays. This is the reason I play games. This is why I enjoy the role-playing aspect so much. So anyway, I'm gonna try to wrap things up by just going quickly around the world, taking a look at what's going on there. So you've got England with King Jorsenbert the Liberator expanding rapidly. He almost subjugated, or well, he did subjugate the English section of Jorvik. Jorvik still persists in Scotland, Ireland and Wales, but in England they've been crushed. And he doesn't stop there. He's declaring a holy war for Essex on Namsborg here, after having kicked Sjaelland out. So, like, wow! This guy truly is liberating England from the grip of the Vikings. And it's quite funny because he picked the seduction focus. He's got maidservant lovers, he's an adulterer, he's someone that sleeps around with women a lot. But history will most likely be kind to him and only remember him as the great warrior king that liberated the Catholic Anglo-Saxons from the clutches of the barbarian Vikings. So that's quite interesting. Another interesting thing is the Umayyads down here, they've formed an empire. And by that I don't mean they've conquered lots of lands. I mean, he's elevated, this guy, Al-Mundir here, he has elevated himself to an emperor tier ruler. Like previously, the Umayyad... The Umayyad Sultanate was only composed of what would have otherwise been the kingdom of Andalusia. But now he has formed the empire, what would have been the empire of Hispania had it been a Christian ruler, but because Muslim realms because Muslims name their realms after the dynasty of their ruler, it has become the Umayyad Empire. So he's got the highest possible ruler tier in the game, which has given him straightaway access to almost 12,000 troops, which he's using to subjugate Asturias, which he probably will use to subjugate Leon, and most likely push in here to the south of Europe. So we might be seeing some crusades going on soon, because the Pope here in Rome, Pope Victor II, surely is not feeling good about hearing the news that the Muslims are pushing through the Pyrenees and entering Europe. Which actually brings us to the Italian peninsula, which is in quite the uproar right now. King Simon, wherever he went, yeah, King Simon, who was married to the African wife, he died under suspicious circumstances, i.e. he got assassinated, which put his brother Jocelyn on the throne. And for all the ambition and zeal and cruelty displayed by him, he's clearly not approved of by his vassals. So one of them, Jocelyn here, has launched a revolt against King Jocelyn to install somebody named Count Pepin on the throne. Now, who is this Count Pepin? It's this guy here, a French Count of Vermandois. He wants him to be the king of Italy. And, okay, that revolt's only just started, so we're gonna see where that goes. There's a Lollard revolt going on, too. And what that means is there's religious uprising going on. If we take a quick look at the religious map mode, you'll see that Catholicism isn't standing quite as strong as one would believe. You've got Waldensian heresies here, here, and lots of it even down here in Muslim land too. Then you've got Lollards here, you've got Cathar here, Fraticelli, more Lollards, so the foundations of the Catholic faith are being shaked to the ground. And we're gonna see where that goes. Meanwhile, King Arnulf here has switched titles. He used to be the king of Bavaria. Now he's made East Francia his main title. So he's the king of East Francia first and Bavaria second. And he's also fighting a bunch of wars. Viking rulers conquering places, another Viking ruler, an additional Viking ruler, but he's also fighting a revolt. This guy here, Etico Welf, is revolting against him to install Duke Hupold's claim on East Francia, who is... I don't know who he is. No, sorry, that was the Kingdom of Bavaria. We wanted the Kingdom of East Francia. Come on. There we go. That dude, the Duke of Swabia, has also got a claim on the Kingdom of East Francia somehow, so this revolt seeks to split East Francia from Bavaria and install this guy as the King of East Francia. So yeah, he's dealing with that. Meanwhile, Eastern Europe and the Baltics are just a mishmash of tiny tribes seeking to subjugate each other, to create large realms, and a few of them have been relatively successful. You've got the Zemigallians here in modern-day Latvia-Lithuania. You've got Lesser Poland here, standing out as the seemingly stronger faction among the Poles. Oh Jesus, look at this guy. High Chief Sobiesław, the Betrayer. Oh, hold on. He's of House Kujawski. Beata Kujawski is the courtier we hired up here in Norway to try and spring our daughter out. She failed, she got imprisoned, but then she got exiled back to Poland. So she's related to this guy, and this guy is even better than Harald. I mean, look at the potential of Harald here. If only he didn't have the content trait, Harald could have been someone like Sobiesław here, on the verge of creating his own kingdom. So yeah, we'll see how he does. Pannonia, or Hungary, seems to be surviving despite the odds, but now they've been taken over by Russians. They started out as Tengri Hungarians. They went on to be ruled by Slavic Croatians. Now they're ruled by Slavic Russians. Can you imagine that? Hungary as a Slavic realm. Yeah. And religion-wise, the pagan religions are still strong in Eastern Europe. You've got the Norse faith up here to the north. They're still clinging on quite a bit in Britain, haven't even managed to convert certain places. We're gonna have the Norse faith convert here in Bohemia as well, with the Slavs being caught in the middle. They're kind of sandwiched here between us, between the Remuva here, the Swamanuska in the north, and the great Jewish cognate of the Khazars. Then you've got the Orthodox realms of Bulgaria and the Byzantine Empire here. Serbia is also a Slavic realm, fighting for its survival in a war against Bulgaria, because the Bulgarians want Bosnia here. And then you got North Africa, where the Muslims are standing strong. You've got Sunni pretty much reigning supreme. In Persia and the Arab Peninsula, they're clashing with the Coptic Christians here in Eastern Africa. They're ruling most of Northern Africa, and it's not until you get to like this area here of Algeria/Morocco that you're seeing a bit more of a religious mix. You've got Shias here and there, you've got the Kharjites and the Ibadi, even a small stretch of Catholicism up here, which is quite funny. And then another area that we haven't gone over that much is India. Remember the Pratihara dynasty that was expanding? Well, here they are. Look, they own all of these, and they're helping to spread Hinduism into India, outmaneuvering the largely dominating Jain religion, whereas the Buddhists are confined to the east along with the Bön, and then the plains are a mishmash of Tengri, Nestorian Christians, Manichaeans, and all sorts of other faiths. So, yeah, that is the state of the world. We've been going on now for roughly 50 minutes, I would think. We probably wouldn't have time to play much of the game, because this particular session would drag on for too long, and we wouldn't get to progress much of the time anyway. So I'm gonna end it here, and then I'm gonna get back straight away with another session of strictly gameplay. I'm sorry to all of you who were waiting for another episode of action and events, but if you haven't noticed it by now, I do enjoy the storytelling aspects of CK2 as well. I do enjoy playing the game slowly and just catching up on all these little intricate details, on the history that's unfolding and the stories of the characters. So I hope you'll join me for more gameplay. Next time we're probably gonna jump straight in, do nothing else, and yeah, let's see what the future has in store for Harald and the Ustath dynasty. So hope to see you all again next time. Have a good evening, have a good day, and a good night, wherever in the world you may be, and I'll see you all again soon.